Okay, picture this. You're out there on the highway, sun's coming up, or maybe it's going down, and you're just focused, eating up those
You're
miles.
in the zone.
Exactly. But all around that, there's this whole world of trucking news, things changing, stuff happening.
Right.
So this deep dive, it's really, for you, the driver behind the wheel. We've been looking closely at recent events, conference chatter, what's happening on the ground.
And we're trying to pull out what really matters,
Hmm.
looking at it from all the different angles.
That's the mission.
Yeah.
We want to be like your co-pilot here, helping you make sense of the big picture.
Mm-hmm. We'll get into how the logistics game is shifting, new challenges popping up on the road, and digitally, too.
And crucially, how all this might actually create opportunities for you to, take more control.
It's a lot to track, we know that. So we're here to kind of break it down, make it clear.
Okay, let's jump right in. There was that Home Delivery World USA conference down in Nashville recently.
Ah, yes. Lots of buzz around that one.
Right, and the name makes you think e-commerce, last mile stuff, all that fancy tech.
Sure. Drones, robots, the works.
But when we started digging into some reports, there was this, stark contrast. What they were talking about there versus the actual day-to-day you're dealing with.
That's really interesting, isn't it? While the conference floor is buzzing about AI warehouses and maybe drone deliveries someday,
Yeah.
the chatter among truckers, owner-operators, it's still focused on, finding decent paying loads.
Still dealing with lumper fees, right?
Exactly. Lumper fees, fuel costs, just eating away at everything.
Yeah.
It really highlights this potential gap. The industry's big future ideas versus the here and now for the folks moving the freight. Why do you think that gap exists?
That's the big question, really. It almost feels like two different worlds sometimes. You've got the high-level talk about automation, efficiency, cutting costs.
Right, streamlining.
And then you've got drivers just trying to get fair pay, decent conditions.
Oh.
We even saw stuff about gig workers in that last mile space really struggling.
Barely breaking even, yeah.
And for the small fleets, trying to adopt all this new tech, it's a huge financial mountain to climb.
It really is. It makes you wonder if sometimes the human side of trucking gets a bit lost in the shuffle in the rush for the next big thing.
Yeah, you have to ask that. I mean, sure, some companies are developing tools, better routing apps, ways to maybe streamline paperwork.
Which is good, helpful stuff.
Helpful, yeah, but are they addressing those core issues, the things that really hit your quality of life, your earnings? Not always front and center in those big talks.
And yet, like one source we saw pointed out, all the e-commerce magic in the world doesn't happen without the trucks.
And without you driving them, that's the fundamental truth, isn't it?
Absolutely. It sometimes gets lost in all the noise.
You're the engine. Simple as that. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Pivot over to the East Coast. Pitt, Ohio folks probably know them, regional LTL carrier.
Yep, familiar name.
They just opened a maritime terminal right near the port of Norfolk. That seemed pretty significant to us.
Oh, definitely. Pitt, Ohio, you think regional, smaller loads, right?
Right.
So for them to set up shop right at a major port, that signals a real strategic move towards intermodal.
Mixing ship and truck, basically.
Exactly. They want to control more of that freight journey right from the port. More efficiency, maybe more control over their whole supply chain.
And that fits a bigger trend, doesn't it? Companies trying to handle more modes of transport themselves.
It does. Vertical integration, multimodal expansion, it's happening across the board. So what are the upsides for a carrier like Pitt, Ohio doing this?
Well, for them, probably more direct access to freight coming in and going out of the port. Cuts out middlemen, maybe streamlines things.
Makes sense.
But let's think about what it means for you, the driver. If you're running in Virginia, North Carolina, Maryland,
Yeah.
this could mean more local, regional hauls tied to the port.
Shorter runs, maybe more predictable?
Could be. That's definitely appealing. But port work, it comes with its own headaches, right?
Oh, yeah. Delays at the terminal, potential congestion.
Exactly. And more freight volume overall could put pressure on rates in certain areas.
Right. So for owner-operators, maybe new contracts pop up.
Possibly. But maybe also more competition for those specific port loads. It cuts both ways.
It's a balanced view. Shippers probably love this. More capacity, faster turnarounds, potentially.
And the port itself welcomes the business, the volume.
Sure. Jobs, activity. Brokers, though, maybe not so thrilled.
Yeah, if Pitt, Ohio handles more coordination internally, maybe fewer broker opportunities for that specific freight.
So the key takeaway for drivers is watching how these big carrier moves reshape the local freight scene.
Right. It could open doors or it can make things tighter. Knowing about it helps you plan.
Definitely. Staying informed is crucial.
Okay, now let's talk about something universal. Infrastructure. The roads themselves. We saw that repairs started on the Virgin Creek Bridge. That's on US 212 in South Dakota.
Ah, okay. Might seem local, but it's a good example.
Exactly. It really highlights those constant infrastructure headaches and how even one project can throw a wrench in your schedule.
You bet. US 212, that's a key east-west route up there in the Dakotas. Lots of trucks use it. Long haul, regional, local too.
So the bridge needs fixing, sure, safety first. But the reports say, expect single-lane traffic,
Yeah.
expect delays, probably significant ones.
And the kicker, no firm end date.
Ugh, that uncertainty, that's the worst when you're trying to plan your HOS meet appointments.
It really is a headache. You can just imagine drivers trying to figure out alternate routes.
Going north, south, adding miles, adding time,
Yep. And the DOT called it scheduled maintenance.
which doesn't help much when you're stuck in traffic, right?
Not really. And locals, they're probably torn too. Good to have a safer bridge eventually, but a pain right now.
This whole thing just underlines how vital planning is. Staying aware.
Absolutely. Dispatchers are scrambling to reroute. Independents have got to be watching conditions, have backup plans.
Using those real-time traffic apps, talking to other drivers.
All of that becomes even more critical. Infrastructure work is it's a constant reality. Being ready for it, being adaptable, that's how you try to minimize the hit to your time.
It's that daily battle against the clock, isn't it?
Always.
Okay, so we've done physical roads. Let's talk digital roads. Cybersecurity.
Increasingly important, yeah.
It might feel like something, I don't know, abstract. But your truck is so connected now. ELDs, GPS, dispatch apps.
Exactly. And all that connection, while it brings benefits, it also opens doors. Vulnerabilities. Hackers.
Yeah.
Every device, every system is a potential way in.
Yeah.
And the freight industry, it's becoming a real target.
What kind of risks are we talking?
Could be ransomware, locking up systems, could be stealing data load info, financial info, even messing with routing.
Wow. Okay.
And what's worrying is that the threats are evolving fast, but the industry-wide defense, especially affordable tools for smaller guys,
Yes.
still catching up.
It seems like awareness varies a lot, too.
Totally. Some drivers, maybe you don't think about it much until your fuel card gets hit.
Or you fall for some fake dispatch app scam.
Right. Bigger fleets, they're starting to invest more seriously in cybersecurity. But for an independent driver, it can feel like you're out there kind of unprotected.
And it's not just the truck, right? Brokers, dispatchers, they're targets, too.
Oh, yeah. An attack on their system can screw things up for a lot of drivers downstream.
So what can be done?
Well, this is where something like the NMFTA, the National Motor Freight Traffic Association, releasing those Roadmap to Resilience guidebooks is really helpful.
Okay, what are those?
They're specifically for trucking, trying to educate everyone, companies and drivers, about the cyber risks and, more importantly, how to defend yourself.
Practical stuff.
Yeah, it covers basics like know what digital stuff you have, control who gets access, what to do if something does happen, securing your network, how to recover, designed for the industry.
That sounds really useful, like common sense steps.
Exactly. It's not about being a tech genius. It's about keeping your software updated, using strong, unique passwords, not password 123.
Right. Being careful about public Wi-Fi.
Definitely. Backing up your important data. It's becoming like a preventative maintenance, like checking your tires or your oil.
That's a good way to put it. A new kind of road hazard.
Precisely. You're watching the road, mirrors, gauges. You got to watch your digital space too.
Yeah.
Taking those steps can really lower your risk. Keep control.
Okay. Now, let's steer into something a bit more controversial.
Right.
The issue of drivers allegedly using B-1 business visas to haul freight inside the U.S.
Yeah, this one definitely sparks some strong feelings. Touches on fair labor competition.
So the basics are, the B-1 visa, it's meant for temporary business visits, right? Like meetings, conferences, international trade stuff.
Not for driving domestic freight routes point to point within the U.S.
All right. But reports suggest some carriers are allegedly using this visa, bringing in drivers, mostly from Mexico it seems, to run those domestic routes.
And the suspected motivation, according to those reports, lower labor costs, maybe bypassing some U.S. labor rules.
And you can guess the reaction from a lot of American drivers.
Frustration, feeling undercut.
Yeah, losing loads, feeling like the playing field isn't level, morale takes a hit.
And it's tricky for enforcement, too. Border agents might have trouble verifying exactly what a B1 holder is doing once they're inside the country.
So you've got the situation where some companies are playing by the rules and others are allegedly, well, exploiting a loophole.
It's complex. You've got valid concerns from different sides.
Smaller trucking groups are definitely raising alarms.
Yeah, they're worried about wages getting pushed down, unfair competition, even potential safety issues if drivers are operating under different rules or pressures related to their visa status.
What are the potential knock-on effects?
Well, downward pressure on rates for everyone playing by the rules. You could end up with compliant carriers facing tough regulations while others maybe fly under the radar.
More stress, more burnout potential across the board.
Definitely. And it's really important to frame this right. The core issue being raised is about fair labor, protecting domestic jobs and standards.
Not about being anti-immigrant.
Exactly. It's about fair competition and labor practices. And we should also remember the foreign drivers themselves might be in a really vulnerable spot in these situations.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. Shifting logistics, road problems, digital threats, these visa complexities, it can feel overwhelming.
It really can, like navigating a minefield sometimes.
But this is where we want to shift gears again, towards empowerment. What can you actually do?
Right, and we've seen some great insights from places like lifeasatrucker.com, truckersidehustle.com.
Hervey over at Life as a Trucker often talks about seeing issues from all angles, right? Understanding the whole picture.
Exactly, that understanding is powerful, but then it's about focusing on what you control.
And a huge piece of that is time, how you manage your time.
We always hear about managing time for the shipper, for the schedule.
Got to make that delivery window.
Right, but just as vital is managing your off-duty time for your own growth.
Investing in yourself, learning new skills.
Precisely. And this ties into that idea of building online income streams.
Like the stuff on retirefromtrucking.com talks about.
Yeah. Having other income sources, even small ones to start, can be like a shield, a buffer against freight rates going up and down, the economy doing weird things.
Gives you a bit more stability.
A lot more stability, potentially. Exploring ways to make money online, maybe using skills you already have, maybe learning new digital skills, maybe even seeing how AI tools could help build something.
So you can build towards a future, a retirement, more in your own terms.
That's the goal. It's about creating your own security, your own lane, really. Taking charge of your income, upgrading your skills.
Yeah?
That's a powerful way to feel more respected, more supported, even when the industry feels chaotic.
So wrapping up this deep dive then, we've hit on the big shifts in logistics, how e-commerce buzz meets road reality.
Pitt, Ohio's port move and what that signals.
Those constant infrastructure challenges, like that bridge in South Dakota.
The growing need for cybersecurity awareness for every single driver.
And that complex, sensitive issue around B1 visa use and fair competition.
And threaded through it all, the importance of seeing the whole picture, understanding those different perspectives, like Hervey suggests.
But the biggest takeaway, we hope, is about taking action yourself.
That proactive empowerment, managing your time for you, investing in your skills.
Exploring ways to build income outside the traditional miles for money model, giving yourself more resilience, more control.
Because ultimately, you are the absolute backbone of this whole industry, no question.
And by taking these steps, managing time, learning, exploring options, you're not just reacting to changes, you're actively building your own future.
Both on the road and maybe eventually off it too.
So that brings us to a final thought, something for you to chew on.
Considering everything we've touched on today, the changes, the challenges, the opportunities, what's one concrete step, just one thing you could do maybe this week?
Could be looking up some cybersecurity basics. Could be researching a skill you're curious about. Could be checking out one of those online income resources we mentioned.
Just one step towards building a bit more security, a bit more control into your own journey, in trucking, and maybe even beyond.